Hey guys, we're back with part two of our FreeCodeCamp JavaScript course, JavaScript algorithm data structures course, and last time we did about half an hour worth of lessons. We did 21 out of 111 lessons of this first section, of which there are about like 7 or 8 of these sections. So we're gonna try and do another half hour today, and then I will try to post another video, a part three soon. I tried to be consistent with these videos, but it's a little bit busy. Um, it's one of the busiest part of the semester so far. It's midterm season, so I'm just doing a lot of studying whenever I have downtime. But I want to keep up with these videos. I want to stay consistent with the uploading of these videos, so I'll try to post one or two more videos this upcoming week, and then we should be getting regular videos after during the first week uh, of November, and then we'll go on from there. But for now, this is just gonna be a little bit sporadic for the time being until I figure out a smooth, consistent schedule that I can keep up with to keep bringing you guys these videos. As per usual, we got some lo-fi going, and we're gonna keep that in the background as we do these lessons. So I'm gonna set a timer for myself for about 30 minutes, and we'll try and see how many we can get done in this part. So let's continue. So we left off doing compound assignment with augmented division. If you remember, I'm just gonna open up my excuse me. I'm gonna open up my notepad. So if you remember, this was, if you declare a variable, let's say variable a equals 5, and then you could say variable b is equal to a plus 10. But you can also, what we were doing last time is, b equals 10, right? This will add 10 to b, or whatever. Or you can do it slash equals, or minus equals, or times equals, right? So this is what we finished off doing last time. So we're gonna try to continue doing these lessons and go on from there. So this lesson is called declaring string variables. So we're gonna do that. So the instructions goes as follows. Previously, we have used the code variable my name equals strings your name, or quotes your name. Your name is called a string literal. It is a string because it is a series of 0 or more characters enclosed in single or double quotes. So the instructions are to create two new string variables. First one called my first name, and the second called my last name, and assign them the values of your first and last name respectively. So, actually, we we actually got to this lesson, but we didn't complete it. So I'm just gonna get rid of these and just gonna type it in again. My first name is equal to John again, and variable my last name equal to Doe. If you want to have a little bit of fun, also the log my first name plus my last name, and then the console should log John Doe. And if you run it, there we go. So that's that challenge completed. That's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. This lesson is called escaping literal quotes in strings. When you are defining a string, you must start and end with a single or double quote. What happens when you need a literal quote? So you have the double quotes here, or the single quote inside of your string. In JavaScript, you can escape a quote from considering it as an end of string quote by placing a backslash in front of the quote. So this is an example. Variable sample string equals Alan said backslash Peter is learning JavaScript backslash quote end quote period, and then we're closing the string off. So you can see you place the backslash before the quote symbol, and then you write in whatever quote you want to put in, and then do the same thing here. over here, these two, and then close off your string. So this signals to JavaScript that the following quote is not the end of the string, but should instead appear inside the string. So if you were to print this to the console, you would get Alan said, comma, and then Peter is knowing JavaScript in quotes. So the challenge is to use backslashes to assign a string to the myString variable so that if you were to print it to the console, you would see I am a, quote, double quoted, string inside, quote, double quotes. So this is the variable string that we need to update. So we say I am, again we escape it, put in a quote sign, double quoted, escape it, put in a quote sign, string inside, escape it, double quotes, escape it, oops. So that should be good. So it's logging it automatically here, but so I think that might be something that FreeCodeCamp is doing in the background, but that should be pretty much how you do this challenge. So if you run it, we get an error. It says variable myString should contain the string I am a. Oops, missing an A here. Space. Is it like that or like this? Let's run it. There we go. Next lesson, quoting strings with single quotes. String values in JavaScript may be written with single or double quotes as long as you start and end with the same type of quote. So if I start a string with, the double quotes, I need to end them. So if I started with the double quotes, I'll write I am a string, blah, blah, blah. I need to end it with that. I can't do this. I can't open it with that, I am a string, 2, and then end it with a single quote. That doesn't work. That string is not yet closed. I need to put the same symbol as I started with. And the same thing if I was to write with a single quote, I am a string 3. I can't end it like that with a double quote. I need to throw in a single quote to close that string off. So here we have an example, double quote string. This is a string, as you can see, it's inside double quotes. And this is a single quote string. This is also a string, and you can see it's inside single quotes. The reason why you might want to use one type of quote over the other is if you want to use both in a string. This might happen if you want to save a conversation in a string and have the conversation in quotes. Another use for it would be saving an anchor tag with various attributes in quotes all within a string. So this is a type of tag that you use in HTML. We might run into some HTML in this course down the line, but for now you don't have to worry about this if you don't know HTML yet. So here we see conversation this is an example. Variable conversation is equal to, we open this string with a single quote. Finn exclaims to Jake, comma. Then we have a double quote, so we have a quote inside of a quote of a string. So we have algebraic, and then again double quote. So we close it off with the same symbol, and then we close the entire variable string with the single quote, the same that we started off with. However, this becomes a problem if you need to use the outermost quotes within it. Remember, a string has the same kind of quote at the beginning and end, but if you have the same quote somewhere in the middle, the string will stop early and throw an error. So this is an example of a good string. So we open it with a single quote. Jake asks Finn, comma. Then we have a quote inside of the string, right? Hey, and we use double quotes. The string is hey, let's go on adventures. So you can see we used the backslash here to escape this single quote because we open the string variable with a single quote. So we don't want this to be the terminating point of the string itself. So we escape it. And then we complete the inner quote, and then we use the single quote to complete it. This is a bad string example. So we open it with a single quote, we know we want to write, and then we use the double quote to put a string inside this variable string. And as you can see, we use single quote here. And so JavaScript thinks, oh, this is where we want to terminate our string. But we still keep typing the rest of that quote in here. But JavaScript is not going to read this, and this is going to throw you an error. So you always have to remember, if you're going to mix your quotes around, your quote symbols around, you have to escape them. So yeah, as I just mentioned here, background will throw an error. In the good string above, you can use both quotes safely by using the backslash as an escape character. Note, the backslash should not be confused with the forward slash. They do not do the same thing, clearly. So the instruction here is to change the provided string to a string with single quotes at the beginning and end and no escape characters. Right now, the anchor tag in the string uses double quotes everywhere. You'll need to change the outer quotes to single quotes so you can remove the escape characters. So here we have our variable called mystr, and it starts off with double quotes, ends with double quotes, but because we are using double quotes inside the string as well, we are using these escape characters to, to tell JavaScript that, hey, this is not where our string ends, right? We're still going here. So we need to change these two outermost quote marks to single quotes. That way, inside the string, we can use these double quotes, and we don't have to escape them because JavaScript knows that we didn't open our string with double quotes. We open them with single quotes, so it's not gonna throw you an error. And if we do that, the challenge is done. I'm gonna keep getting this every time. Alright, so this is more example of escape sequences in strings. So quotes are not the only characters that can be escaped inside a string. There are two reasons to using escape characters. To allow you to use characters you may not otherwise be able to type out, such as a carriage return, or to allow you to represent multiple quotes in a string without JavaScript misinterpreting what you mean. So we learned this in the previous challenge. So if we use the backslash followed by a single quote, we are going to print out a single quote, right? This is escaping the single quote telling JavaScript this is not where we want to terminate the string. Same thing with a double quote, right? Same format, you just have to replace the single quote with a double quote, and you're going to escape the double quote, and it's going to be printed out. You can also escape a backslash. So if I wanted to say, let's say a variable is string 2 is equal to hello world, and I wanted to print out a backslash here. So if I do this, it's gonna escape this double quotes here, but I want to print out a backslash, so I'm gonna type in another slash, and if I was to log this or to print this out, you will see that's gonna show the backslash like how we want it. So that's what this is doing over here. And so here we have a backslash n. So this is gonna do a new line, right? So if I was to do our example here, hello world, I do a backslash n, hello world 2. When it prints, see, it goes hello world. Then we go into a new line, and it prints hello world 2. Then there's a carriage return, right? So if we do backslash hello world 2, hello world 3, you can see, same thing. So, and then we can go a slash t, hello world. It's going to give us a tab here, like a space. This is the same thing as just pressing the tab key on your keyboard. You see it gives that an extra space instead of spamming your space bar on your keyboard. We just do slash t and it does the same thing as we're typing. You have a slash b, you have a word boundary, slash f is a form feed, and so there's a lot more you can do with this and have a lot of fun with this stuff. So I'm gonna get rid of this for now. So note that the backslash itself must be escaped in order to display as a backslash. Again, I showed you an example and it's talking about this here. So the instructions are to assign the following 3 lines of text into the single variable mystr using escape sequences. So we're going to use a combination of these to do to print out this format here. It says you will need to use escape sequences to insert special characters correctly. You will also need to follow the spacing as it looks above with no spaces between escape sequences or words. Note, the indentation for second line is achieved with the tabbed escape characters, not spaces. So this is what we want to change here. So we're going to open it with double quotes because we're not going to be doing quotes inside of quotes here. I'm just going to write first line. We're going to do our new line escape sequence. Then we're going to do our tab escape sequence. Then we're going to do double slash. We're going to escape the backslash. I'm going to say second line, then new line again, and then we're going to write third line. And boom, that's really what it is here. If we run it, Bingo. So that's pretty simple. So these are important to try and remember if you're ever going to be working with strings in the future. And there's going to be a section in this course for sure that's going to cover string. What was it called? I forgot. It's like it's ways of manipulating strings, which is very useful in the future if you're going to be building applications to do with passwords and users and creating databases and stuff like that. I forgot what the name of the topic was, but if I remember it, I'll for sure let you know. But we're gonna keep going. I don't want to get too sidetracked. But this is stuff that you want to remember because it's definitely gonna be important in the future. So let's keep going. We still have a lot of time on the clock, so I'm gonna keep doing a few more of these. So this lesson is called Concatenating Strings with the plus operator. In JavaScript, when the plus operator is used with a string value, it is called the concatenation operator. You can build a new string out of other strings by concatenating them together. Example, my name is Alan, and we're concatenating another string to this one, so we use the plus, and its second string is I concatenate. Here we have a note, watch out for spaces. Concatenation does not add spaces between concatenated strings, so you need to add them yourself. So as you can see here, at the end of the comma, we put a space, and at the beginning of this sentence, we put a space. So that's going to build our sentence out. When you print it, or if you want to read it, once it's put together, it's going to look seamless, like it's just one whole sentence in one variable. So here I have an example. Variable R_string is equal to I come first. And we close it off, we put a space here, we concatenate I come second. So when this is printed out, it's just going to bring the string I come first, period, I come second. It's going to look seamless like that. And this is what's going to be displayed in the console if you were to log this string variable. So here the instructions are to build my str from strings. This is the start, and this is the end using the plus operator or the concatenation operator. Be sure to include a space between the two strings. So here we're going to say my str is equal to this is the start. So we can do this, and then we can do plus this is the end, and this is gonna work, right? If we do this, it's gonna work. You can also do this, so we can just close that off there, and then we can say my str is equal to my str plus, and then we can type this is the end here. Oops, gotta get rid of this. And this is also gonna work. Excuse me. I guess it wants me to do this in the same line here. Yeah, so I should remember that this has restrictions, but this is legal. You can do this in JavaScript. You can also do it the same way, like as we learned earlier, plus equals, and then again, it's still gonna work. But the system wants us to do it on the same line, so we're just gonna do it that way. But just remember that that works as well. You can do it that way with a plus equals, the compounded augmented addition method. You can do it with calling MyStr again and then concatenating that way, like I just showed you. But that works. This just wants us to do it in the same line. That's why I didn't want to go through with it. Here we have concatenating strings with the plus equals. See, this is what I was just talking about actually. Concatenating with the plus equals operator, right? The augmented addition that we learned in the first video. So we can also use the plus equals operator to concatenate a string onto the end of an existing string variable. This can be helpful to break a long string over several lines. Note, watch out for spaces. Again, concatenation does not add spaces between concatenated strings, so you need to add them yourself. Example, variable R_string is equal to I come first, right? And we end the variable there, and then we have our str plus equals I come second. So this is literally what I was just demonstrating not even 20 seconds ago. So now our str now has a value of the string I come first, period, I come second. So build my str over several lines by concatenating these two strings. This is the first sentence, this is the second sentence, using the plus equals operator. Use the plus equals operator similar to how it is shown in the example, and be sure to include a space between the two strings. Start by assigning the first string to my str, then add on to this second string. So my str is equal to this, excuse me, this is the first sentence, simple. Then we say my str plus equals, we have a space here saying this is the second sentence. And then we close it off. So if we were to log this, you should see it looks like a seamless sentence. So let's just run that and challenge complete. Here we have constructing strings with variables. So this is like what we were just learning about concatenating strings, but we're going to be using variables instead of typing out the sentences outright. So we'll see how that's going to look. So here it says sometimes you'll need to bring a string Madlib style, and you can follow this link. You can learn about Madlibs. It's something we used to do as kids in English classes and stuff. But I'm not gonna spend time on going through the history of Madlibs right now. So by using the concatenation operator, again the plus, you can insert one or more variables into a string you are building. Example: variable rname is equal to FreeCodeCamp, and then here we can use variable rstring. Hello, our name is, and then we're putting our name, the rname variable or the rname string FreeCodeCamp in the middle of this string that we're building here. We're concatenating it using the variable names, and then completing it off with a string here. So now our string will have the value of the string, hello, our name is FreeCodeCamp, how are you? So instructions say, set my name to a string equal to your name and build my str with my name between the strings my name is and I am well. So my name is equal to John Doe, as we established. And here we want to say my name is, then space, plus, pull my name, and I am well. Simple. So if we were to console log this, my str should say my name is John Doe and I am well. If we run that, boom, plain and simple. And again, same thing. Appending variables to strings, right? The plus equals, like I told you guys earlier, it's legal, it works, JavaScript accepts it. So just as we can build a string over multiple lines out of string literals, we can also append variables to a string using the plus equals operator. Example: variable n adjective is equal to awesome. Variable r string is equal to FreeCodeCamp is. rstr plus equals an adjective. Then we have a string says that would have the value FreeCodeCamp is awesome. So here we have the instruction set to set some adjective to a string of at least 3 characters and append it to the mystr using the plus equals operator. So we can say variable some adjective challenging. And if we concatenate it here, we're supposed to use the plus equals, right? So we can say mystr plus equals some adjective, and then we're gonna log this. I always log this to make sure you guys can see what's going on with the code. As you can see, learning to code is challenging. So we've assigned the string challenging to the variable some adjective, and we created a variable string called mystr. Learning to code is blank. Then we concatenate it using the plus equals operator. So we put some adjective at the end of mystr, and then when we log that, it says learning to code is challenging. Simple. We're going to keep it going. Making good progress here, guys. I hope you guys are following along. I hope you guys are learning here. And I'll try to throw in some little inputs, some little gems as we continue along this path. So here the challenge, this lesson is called Find the Length of a String. So now we're going to start getting into string functionality here, right? Calling special functions that will work with strings. So here it says you can find the length of a string value by writing .leng at th, right? .length after the string variable or string literal. So here we say console.log Alan and Peter, and if we press .length, it's going to say the value 10 will be displayed in the console. So this is basically, if you count the number of characters here, including the space, you should get 10, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the space is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 characters. For example, if we created a variable first name equals to ada, we could find out how long the string ada is by using the first name.length property. So the instruction says use the .length property to count the number of characters in the last name variable and assign it to last name length. So here we have a variable last name length is equal to 0. Then we have a variable last name is equal to Lovelace. So here we want to change this 0 to be the amount of characters in last name, right? The amount of characters in the word Lovelace or in the name Lovelace. So here we want to take the number and assign it to last name length. So here we're going to say last name length is equal to last name dot length. And that's pretty much it. If you want to console.log last name length, we're going to see what that's going to tell us. It's 8 letters or 8 characters if we count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's just that simple. Here the challenge is to use bracket notation to find the first character in a string. Bracket notation is a way to get a character at a specific index within a string. Most modern programming languages like JavaScript don't start counting at 1 like humans do. Very true, they start at 0, right? This is referred to as zero-based indexing. For example, the character at index 0 in the word Charles is C, right? It's not 1. Right, if we were kind of counting this, outside of programming, C will be at position 1. But computers and programming languages don't see this as position 1. They see this as position 0. So C is at 0, H is at 1, A is at 2, and so on and so forth. So if variable first name is equal to Charles, we can get the value of the first letter of the string by using first name, using the bracket notation, putting the number 0, right? We're going to get the 0 indexed, the character at the position 0, which is C, and that's how we will get that. So example, variable first name Charles, variable first letter, we want to get the C, so we're going to say first name bracket 0, close bracket. So the instruction says use bracket notation to find the first character in the last name variable and assign it to first letter of last name. So the setup here is variable first letter of last name is blank, right? It's an empty string. Variable last name is equal to Lovelace. So we want to get L here and assign it to first letter of last name. So here we're going to only change the code below. First letter of last name. So we're going to say last name 0, just like that. If we run it, it works. Again, if you want to see what this code is doing here, so go to close and log this. First letter of last name, and we should get L. Just like that, very simple. Understanding string immutability. In JavaScript, string values are immutable, which means that they cannot be altered once created. For example, the following code variables -str is equal to Bob. I can't change this first letter here to J, right? I can't say -str at position 0, right? When I get the letter at position 0, I change it to J, so this can say job. It doesn't work like that. You can't change the string once it's declared the way it is. So yeah, cannot change the value of MyStr to job because the content of MyStr cannot be altered. So the strings in JavaScript are immutable. Remember that. Note that this does not mean that MyStr cannot be changed, just that the individual characters of a string literal cannot be changed. The only way to change MyStr will be to assign it with a new string like this. Variable MyStr is equal to Bob, and I want to change it to job, so I say MyStr is equal to job. Correct the assignment to MyStr so it contains the string value of hello world using the approach shown in the example above. So variable MyStr is equal to Jello world. Again, we can't do this. This is JavaScript. JavaScript is gonna say, what are you doing? We don't do this here, right? I'm just gonna say MyStr is equal to hello world. Simple. If we run it, that's how it goes. Use bracket notation to find the nth character in a string. You can also use bracket notation to get the character at other positions within a string. Remember that computers start counting at 0, so the first character is actually the 0th character. Example, variable first name, ada, variable second letter of first name equals first name at position 1. Again, 0-based indexing. Ada is position 0, D is position 1. So if you want to get the D here in the first name variable or the first name string ada, you want to call bracket notation and put it past 1 here. Let's try to set the third letter of last name to equal the third letter of the last name variable using bracket notation. Hint, try looking at the example below if you get stuck. So we have our variable last name is equal to Lovelace. We want to get the third letter here. So 1, 2, 3, V. Remember, JavaScript and all most, I think, programming languages are zero-based indexing. So this isn't going to be 1, 2, 3. It's going to be 0, 1, 2. Right? So to get V, we need to do last name bracket notation 2. And if we go ahead and log this, I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to spend time typing it out. And there we go. We get V, which is what we wanted to do here. So the third letter of last name variable should have the value of V using bracket notation. And boom. And we have time for one more lesson. So let's see if we can knock this one out of the park. Here it says use bracket notation to find the last character in a string. In order to get the last letter of a string, you can subtract 1 from the string's length. For example, if variable first name is equal to ada, you can get the value of the last letter of the string by using first name.length minus 1. Example, variable first name is ada. We want to get a, so we're going to do variable last letter is equal to first name, bracket notation, right? We're going to open brackets, open square brackets. We're going to call first name.length. Then we're going to subtract 1. So that's going to be last letter. We have a value of string a. So use bracket notation to find the last letter in the last name. Because remember, again, JavaScript is zero-based index. So this is going to be 1, 2. If we kind of normally, this is 1, 2, 3. The length of the string is 1, 2, 3. But since JavaScript strings are zero-based indexed, right? It's going to be 0, 1, 2. That's what we were doing here. Instead of going 1, 2, 3, we're going 0, 1, 2. So that's basically what this code is doing here. So the instructions are to use bracket notation to find the last character in the last name variable. So we have a variable last name here. It's called Lovelace. We want to get this, right? This letter E. If we count this, we know that this is 8 characters long, but since remember, zero-based indexing, I'm going to keep iterating that. So this is actually position 7, not position 8, position 7, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So only change the code below this line, variable last letter of last name. We're going to do last name, bracket notation. We're going to do last name.length minus 1. And if we console.log, this should print out an E, and boom, we get the E that we're looking for here. And that's really what that code is doing. Super simple. One more lesson, since it's all still in the same family of what we're talking about right now. Use bracket notation to find the nth to last letter in a string. You can use the same principle we just used to retrieve the last character in a string to retrieve the nth to last character. So we can do the second to last character, right, the C, third to last, fourth to last, blah, 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 blah. Get the idea. For example, you can get the value of the third to last letter of the variable first name Augusta string by using first name, bracket notation, first name.length, right, we're calling the dot length property of a string, and then minus 3. Remember, if we were to count this as just, normal human counting, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but because JavaScript is zero-based indexed, we're going to do, so this is going to be position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, 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 blah. So we want to get that third letter, that S, so we're going to subtract 3. So here's an example, which is basically what is being described here, but just written out a little bit more plainly. So we want to get the S, that's what I was just talking about, so we're going to do minus 3. So the instructions here says use bracket notation to find the second to last letter in the last name string. So our last name string is Lovelace. We want to get the second to last, which is the C here. So that's what we're going to try and do. So before we even get started, I'm just going to go ahead and write our console log as per usual. And then here we're going to use bracket notation. We're going to do last name dot length -2. Bingo, we got the C. So that's really what this is going on. So when we do -2, we're basically using zero-based indexing and then trying to pinpoint the exact letter that we want here. Alright, so I think we're going to end the video here. And I wanted to complete it there because that's pretty much the end of trying to find specific letters in a string, using bracket notation, using the dot length property, some subtraction in there to get to the answer that we want. So this over here is going to be pretty much us putting together some of the stuff that we learned about string literals, about escape sequences, and all the other fun jazz. We're going to use it to do a little bit of Mad Libs here. I love this little challenge. And then, so we're going to pick this up in part 3, which again, I hope to post soon. It could happen within the next 2 days, or it could happen towards the tail end of next week, depending on how my schedule is going to be open. Again, it's a little bit busy with midterms this semester, so I'm hoping that I'm going to have some downtime towards the end of the week and then maybe get a little bit of a consistent schedule going on. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any feedback, criticism, questions, leave them in the comments below. Please subscribe, helps. And I'm just happy to answer any questions or have a little bit of discussion about any and everything coding. Hopefully that can be of some help to you. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in part 3, hopefully soon. Take care.